All right, so I'm going to get started. Make sure we're still in screen. Okay, yes. So if you want, you can sit on your blanket or your towel just on the edge. It just helps you sit up a little bit taller. And you can either sit cross-legged. Sometimes if you sit with like one foot in front of the other, it just kind of helps open up your hip a little bit, or you could even bring it up here, but just as long as it's still comfortable. All right, and then draw your shoulders up and back a few times. Just kind of working out any kinks. And let's just start with a little kind of shoulder and neck stretch. So go ahead and take your right hand behind your back, and you're going to draw the left ear down towards the left shoulder. Maybe bring your head up. So you're kind of drawing like a counter stretch on this side, and trying not to like lean over to the side, just kind of gently dropping that ear over to the side and staying here for a few deep breaths. And then you can bring your chin down towards your chest, bring your other hand behind your back, drawing that shoulder down and back, your other ear towards the other shoulder. Maybe using your hand to just gently guide your ear down towards that shoulder, applying a little bit of pressure. And taking a few more deep breaths here. And then from here, you can bring your chin down to your chest and roll your head and neck out once or twice, just relaxing your hands down by your side. And then when you're ready, just come to sitting up nice and tall and just start to lengthen your breath. So taking long, deep inhales through your nose. Long, deep exhales out through your nose. Using this time right now to really just kind of let go of anything from that outside world and just start to turn your gaze inward. Taking a moment to really just notice and observe what it feels like to be outdoors right now and right here. Feeling that nice kind of slightly cool air, the sounds of the wind and the waves, and embracing all of that as part of our practice and part of our experience this evening. And just taking a moment to remind yourself of something positive, maybe a goal that you have before we start. And when you're ready, you can slowly open up your eyes, and we're just going to start to move in circles. So it doesn't matter which direction you start. You're just going to make some big circles, kind of starting to wake your body up. We'll do, say, like 3 or 4. You made it, Seema. You can set up, like, right here. Yeah, and there's a block if you want to grab just to help for your mat. And if you didn't switch directions, switch directions. Good. All right. And then from here, we're going to come to our first Yin Yoga pose. So we're going to start with we're going to call it a half butterfly pose. So you can either stay on your blanket. I'm just going to take mine away, but either way is fine. And you're going to take one leg out long. Doesn't matter which it is. Just remember which one it is. And we're going to kind of square our hips towards that leg and let that leg relax. And we're just going to slowly start to make our way down, maybe halfway to start. And I'll be timing the poses so that we're kind of even. See if you can go a little bit deeper, kind of settling in and just allowing the leg to relax. So it's fine if you have a bend in the knees. It's fine if you relax the shoulders, relax the back, relaxing that ankle. And we're going to settle in. We're going to be holding each pose at least 3 minutes, but up to 4 minutes for some poses. So using this time to really come back to your breath. Taking those long, deep inhales and exhales through your nose. Taking a moment to kind of just check in with your body and notice for this particular stretch where you're feeling it. So each pose has a certain target area, but different people will feel it a little bit more in different areas. So for this pose, you're probably feeling it in your hamstring on the leg that's out long. And your back, as your back is kind of rounding forward. But if it ever becomes too much for your back, you can kind of just lift your chest up and kind of work towards more of a straight back in the same pose. And just kind of notice if you're feeling it anywhere else. And you want to allow the muscles where you feel the stretch to relax. So we don't do this in all types of yoga. A lot of times in yoga, we're kind of flexing or pointing or engaging the muscles. But in yin yoga, we're trying to relax the muscle tissue so that we can stretch the tissue beyond the muscle tissue. So stretching the deeper tissues that are in the ligaments and the joints and the bones. So we'll be here about 2 or 3 more deep breaths. And then take your time, just moving nice and slow. So making all your movements kind of as slow as possible in yin yoga, just kind of pausing at the top. We'll just come to a little counter stretch so you can take your feet out wide. We'll bend both knees to one side, both knees to the other side, just kind of releasing our back a little bit and bringing some movement back to our legs. And then we're going to come to a reverse tabletop. So you're going to bend your knees, heels in towards you, hands behind you, and then lift the hips up nice and high. If you want, let your head drop back, staying here for a few breaths. So this is a really good counter stretch to forward folding. And then we'll lower back down. All right, so we just did the half butterfly pose. Before we do the other leg, we're going to come to a regular butterfly. So you're going to bring both feet together. So option, if you prefer, is to bring the heels in close, and that'll stretch more of your inner legs, or you could press the heels away. It'll stretch a little bit more into your hips, but either way, we're stretching both. Draw your shoulders back and take your time to make your way forward in the pose. So maybe first hinging forward from your hips. And then once you've come kind of as far as you can right now, you can round your shoulders, round your back. Let your knees kind of relax out to the side. Coming back to your breath. And also using this as a time kind of just for you and your own thoughts. So finding some stillness, maybe using it as a type of meditation, maybe just kind of noticing your thoughts as they pass through. And if your mind ever starts to just become too busy, kind of using your breath as a tool to come back to is something to focus on, to just really bring you back to the present. Take about 2 or 3 more deep breaths. And then moving nice and slowly, walk your hands back and just kind of pause sitting up straight. And then you can close your legs. We'll do the same counter stretches, transition poses. So just windshield wiping the knees side to side a few times to start with. And then we'll come to a reverse tabletop. And then you can make your way back down and we'll set up for the half butterfly pose on the other side. So taking the other leg out long, opposite foot towards your inner thigh. Squaring your hips to the leg that's out long. Take your time to kind of make your way a little bit further into the pose. Allowing the leg to relax. You can have a little bend in the knee. Allow the ankle to relax. Find your edge in the pose for right now. And wherever you are right now will change as we hold it longer. And you should be able to go a little bit deeper as we hold it longer. About 2 or 3 more deep breaths. And then start to walk your hands back and make your way up. And we'll windshield wiper our knees side to side again. And then we're going to come into a child's pose, but you can set your blanket up as extra padding for your knees because we'll use it for the next pose after that. So just kind of, if you need it, for your mat, you might not need it. So we're going to start in a child's pose as just kind of a counter stretch. Taking the knees out wide, sitting back towards your heels. You can stretch the arms forward, relax your forehead down. This should feel nice for your lower back and your back. And then from here, you can walk your hands back. We're going to come onto our hands and knees and set up for puppy pose or melted heart pose. So for this one, your knees are right under your hips, and you keep your hips up high, and then you stretch your arms out forward as far as they can go, bringing your forehead down. So you can stay like this, or you can maybe add another variation if it feels good to kind of bring your arms at prayer arms, bring your forehead down and lifting the hands up. For part of the time, just kind of seeing what feels good in the pose. But checking in and notice where you feel the stretch. The main target for this pose is your upper back, your arms, and your shoulders. By keeping the hips up high over top of the knees, or get a little bit deeper. If you want to make this pose a little bit more gentle on your upper body, you would sit back more towards your heels like a child's pose. And that will kind of decrease the stretch in your upper body. Coming back to your breath. About 3 more deep breaths. And you can walk your hands back. We're going to come to a counter stretch, just sitting back towards our heels. We're going to relax our shoulders, taking our hands behind our back in a child's pose, just letting our palms rest up. Bring our forehead down. All right, and then you can make your way up, and we're going to come into a low lunge or dragon pose. So you're going to keep your blanket as extra padding for the knee, back knee, and bring your right foot forward. So we're going to start out the first half in this low lunge pose, and then we'll move to a lizard pose about halfway through. So just taking time to just check your setup in the pose. So you want to make sure your front knee's over top of your ankle. Maybe lift that back knee up and see if it can go back a little bit further. And we're targeting our hips, our inner legs, our hamstrings, and the other side. So with your upper body, you can either keep the fingers down on the mat, your fists on the mat, or you can just let your back relax a little bit more by letting it lengthen and kind of staying here maybe part of the time or the whole time if you prefer. If you have your hands down, you just want to check and make sure that your spine is kind of still in line so that your gaze is kind of just maybe at the front of your mat as opposed to like bringing your chin down to your chest and just rounding your spine, your neck too much. From here, we're going to make our way into lizard pose. So taking the right foot, walking it a little bit more to the right. So both hands are on the inside of that right foot. You're just getting a little bit deeper into the hip. Like we can just stretch out the hip to start with so you can come onto that pinky edge side of the foot. Take your right hand to your right knee. Just kind of open it up a little, maybe adding a little twist. And then from here, you can place that foot down, bringing both hands inside, either staying high up on the hands again, or you could maybe lower one forearm down and kind of check in, see how that feels. If it doesn't feel good, come back up. Or you can work towards lowering both forearms down. Got one more deep breath here. And moving nice and slow, make your way onto your hands first. And then you can slowly make your way out, coming back onto your hands and knees, reaching that leg in the back, doing a few hip circles, stretching it out a little bit. And then we'll come into a downward facing dog to just really stretch out the legs and stretch out the whole body. And then you can make your way back down onto your hands and knees. And we'll do a few rounds of cat-cow pose before we move to the other side. So just going at your own pace, inhaling to come up to cow pose, and then exhaling to round your back, round your shoulders through cat pose. We'll do one more round of cat-cow. And then you can set up for the other side, bringing the left foot forward. Kind of taking your time to set up. Checking that the knee's over top of the ankle in the front. Lifting that back knee up, seeing if it can go back a little further. Just making sure you have enough space between the front heel and the back knee. And then option to kind of stay on the fingertips, maybe the fists, if that kind of bothers your wrists, or at any point you can kind of make your way up during the pose to kind of straighten your back. From here, you can start to take that left foot a little bit more to the left. And we'll start out just kind of stretching out the hip, so you can come onto the pinky edge side of that foot, maybe bringing it at a little bit of a diagonal, opening up the hip, maybe looking over your shoulder. And then you can place that foot back down, placing both hands down inside, either staying here or kind of checking in how this side is, seeing if you can go a little bit lower on this side, maybe on one forearm, maybe both. About 2 more deep breaths. And then you can push yourself all the way up. Take your time to bring that leg back and just stretch it out. So maybe reaching it behind you, doing a few hip circles. If you want, coming into a downward facing dog. And then we'll make our way into a child's pose. About 5 deep breaths in child's pose. And then you can walk your hands back. Take your time. We'll make our way to a seat. All right. So our next pose is mostly to stretch the hips. It's called Shoelace Pose, which sounds really intimidating. All right. So we have take one leg out long. Maybe start out with the right leg out long. You can cross the left leg on top. And then we're working towards stacking the knees. So instead of being up here, if possible, you're going to walk that foot over to the side, stacking the knee on top. So you can either stay here in the pose, or if you can do it fairly easily, you can bend the other knee back. But if that feels real uncomfortable to have both knees bent, well, that's totally fine because we'll switch sides and you can do the other side on top next time. All right, and so from here, you want to kind of try to get both hips down. If they're up too high, you might want to take that leg out. And then you can bring your heels in towards you. That'll kind of decrease the stretch in the hips. If you kind of push the feet a little bit away, that actually increases the stretch in the outside of the hips. So kind of finding where it feels good right now. And we're just going to start with a twist. So whatever knee's on top, take that opposite arm. So we'll twist to our left, or just opposite arm to opposite knee. Yes. And then you can come back through to the center. And to go deeper in the stretch, so you can stay here as an option, or to go deeper, you can start to make your way forward. So starting to fold forward will increase the stretch in the hip. And just kind of check in, see if you can go a little bit further. Take about 1 or 2 more deep breaths here. And then start to walk your hands back, just pausing, sitting up straight. And then when you're ready, you can uncross your legs, untwist the legs, shake them out. All right, good. Let's windshield wiper our knees a few times on each side. And then we'll set up for the other side. So taking the opposite leg out long, maybe your left leg out long, or just making sure you switch sides. Cross the other leg on top. Working to bringing that foot over to the side and working towards stacking the knees. You know, even if they're not stacked, that's fine. If you were able to bend the other knee back last time and it felt okay, maybe trying again this time. And then just kind of playing with bringing the heels in closer. It's not kind of a right or wrong. It's just kind of what feels better for you. And then we'll start with the twist. So we'll twist towards our right or just opposite hand to opposite knee. Looking over the shoulder. And then make your way back through to the center. Maybe making your way forward or even just sitting up tall for a few breaths. Take about 2 more deep breaths here. And then you can walk your hands back, sitting up straight. Pause and then take your time to untwist your legs, shaking them out a little bit, or just windshield wipering them side to side. And then next, we're going to come into Sphinx Pose. Just kind of stretch our back a little bit. And so coming on your stomach. Letting your feet relax on the mat behind you, and then checking that your elbows are either right under your shoulders or a little bit in front of your shoulders. And then making sure that the shoulders are kind of away from your ears, down and back. Yes. Allow your lower back to just kind of relax and release. Bringing your head down a little bit to decrease the stretch in your lower back if that's what you want to do, or lifting your head up, just kind of looking forward, or just even slightly up to kind of increase the stretch in your lower back. And then either staying right here for about 5 more deep breaths, or you could take your hands out wider, straightening the elbows to go a little bit deeper. Even if you just try kind of this deeper back stretch, if it doesn't feel good, you can just come back to your forearms. And then you can make your way down all the way to your belly, relaxing one side of your head down. So just bringing one cheek down to the side, taking your hands by your side with your palms up to relax it. Release those shoulders. And then you can lift your head up and bring the other cheek down, facing the other side. Good. And then from here, you can come just back into Sphinx Pose just for a moment so I can show you the setup for the next pose. So for the next pose, we're going to stretch kind of the chest and the shoulders. So you'll start out taking the right arm out to the side, straight behind you on the mat, and then you'll bend on that side, bringing your knees forward. Side of your head will come down. And you can either keep the knees bent, or to increase the stretch, go straight in the bottom leg and place that top foot down. So you're kind of rolling over that shoulder. Top hand can come right here by your side, or you could kind of bring it behind your lower back. But relaxing the side of your head down. Good. One more deep breath here. And then you're going to roll forward onto your stomach. And we're going to come to a counter stretch. So you're going to take that same arm that's out long. You're going to bring it underneath the other arm. So you can take your left hand, forehead to that hand and bring it down while your other arm, right arm, is kind of drawing in towards your chest. The kind of counter stretch of what we just did. And then slowly make your way back up. And we'll just set up for the other side. So taking the opposite arm out long, rolling onto that shoulder, bringing the knees forward to start with. And you can either keep the knees forward just like that, or you could straighten the bottom leg, bring that top foot up. One more breath here. And then rolling back through to the center on your stomach. You're going to take the arm that was out long, bring it underneath your other armpit. So you're hugging the shoulder in towards you, and then your forehead can on your forearm or your hand in front of you. And then take your time to make your way back up and out of the pose. We're going to make our way onto our back. So if you want to come up first and grab a drink or put on an extra layer, and then we'll finish on our back. All right. So once you're on your back, just hugging your knees in towards your chest. Just kind of moving in a few circles, massaging your lower back on the mat. Maybe moving a few times in each direction. And then keep your knees up towards your chest. You can take your arms either out long to your side, or you could just have a little bend in the elbows. And we're going to drop both knees up and over to the right side, coming to a twist. Allow the knees to just relax over to the side. Maybe looking up at the sky, or you can look in the opposite direction of your knees for a little bit of a neck stretch. And then when you're ready, bringing the knees back through to the center. And then you're going to bring both knees up and over to the other side, allowing them to relax over on the other side. And then make your way back through to the center. Stretch your arms out long and straighten your legs, just taking a nice long stretch all the way from your fingers down to your toes. And taking any last stretch that you want to do before making your way into Shavasana. Finding a comfortable position to just allow your body to relax for the last few moments of class. Allowing your back to lie flat. Scanning your body and just kind of noticing if you have any tension anywhere in your body, and consciously allowing that area of your body to release, to relax. Just let go. Feel yourself sinking a little bit deeper into your mat. From here, take a nice deep inhale. Complete exhale. And then again, nice deep inhale. Complete exhale. And then just start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Maybe roll out your ankles, roll out your wrists. Maybe reach your arms up overhead or bend your knees. And then you can take your time to roll onto one side. Pause for maybe a breath or two and take your time to make your way all the way up to a seat. And then we'll just finish by bringing our hands to our heart center. We'll take one more deep inhale, reaching out and up, pressing the palms together to bring our hands back down, and just taking a moment to feel a little bit more peaceful, feeling a sense of gratitude for the beautiful evening, for each other's company. Thanking yourself for making the time to come out tonight and do something good for your body, your mind. And just allow the positive energy that you feel from class to be of benefit to yourself and the people around you throughout the evening and throughout the day tomorrow. Namaste. It's getting darker. I was looking for a little lantern inside. I don't know where it went.
I know. That's all right. I knew what you were saying.
Yeah. Turn this off for the recording.